Hello everybody and welcome to part 2 of painting a SERAPHON Slann Master. Hello and welcome to another video. So we're going to start base coating the chair with some Caliban green and some Cybernite green, I believe it's called. It's the Cybernite green. So it's about 50-50 mix, and we've thinned it down slightly with water, and we're going to be coating all of the chair areas. Big thank you to everybody who's supported the channel so far. So thank you very much for all your support. It means so much. There is about 70% of viewers that haven't subscribed, so please smash that subscribe button, like the video, drop a comment and ring that bell, because all interactions help with the algorithm, and we're getting so close to 2,000 subscribers. It is so cool. Thank you. There is a lot of hours being put in this bad boy. This video was supposed to be here last week, but it's just taken so long to paint a lot of detail. So just take your time with it and you'll get through. As you can see, I'm just working through it, and here I'm just putting a final coat. I think all in all it's taken me about three layers to get a proper solid opaque layer. So now we're going to be base coating the trees. This is about the only time that you'll see me do anything really with the wood in this video. I have a tutorial coming very soon on the tree man from the Blood Bowl range, so I'll be going into depth about how to do wood and wood grain in that video. So I've kind of not really covered it in this one. So it will be coming, and with the power of editing I will come back and stick a little doofer in the top corner of this video. So if it's there, the video is up. If it's not, it's on its way. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. But yeah, using Steel Legion drab, we're just going around and base coating all of the wood, including all of the vines and everything else. At this stage, it's just all about base coating as much as the model as we can before getting the washes on, and we can build up to the highlights. So once all the wood's done, we're going to use Warpstone Glow to do all of the leaves and foliage. And remember, this is the little leaves on all of the vines as well. So just go around all of the model, and if you're a little bit confused what's what, check out the box art pictures and they'll give you a good hint at what they are. But I'm really loving the new SERAPHON from Games Workshop. They've done a really cool job. If it was an army that I was interested in playing in Age of Sigmar, I would be all over them, because this army is super cool and so easy to paint. There's contrast paints just work so well for these models. So for the moss areas, you use a Death World Forest, and again, just go around all of the model, making sure that all of these areas are base coated. They're pretty easy to spot. They kind of look like bird droppings hanging off the side, and there's like little like textured splodges around the chair. There's surprisingly a lot of detail on this model, to be fair, and it's really, really cool. That Stephen, who owns this model, has opted to go for like a jade green, so we're going to try to make that as interesting as we can in this video. So that's all the base coats are done. What we're going to be doing now is like washing all of these areas. So for the wood areas, so that's like the big tree trunk and all of the vines, I've got some watered down wormwood contrast paint. It's about 2 parts water / medium to 1 part contrast paint, and I'm just going all the way around the model and just covering all of these areas as well, just making sure that it doesn't pool, and if it does, just to go back and to take the pooled areas off with a damp brush. For the other areas, I use a Keelian green wash. I'm not too sure if Games Workshop still make this, but if they don't, just water down some Caliban green and use that instead. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start building up the highlights on the chair using Carbolite green. And this is an old brush that I've cut the end off so it's a little bit flat, and it's perfect for stippling. And all I'm going to be doing is stippling this colour over to the raised areas of the model, trying to sort of focus on the parts of the chair where it's going to get most of the light, and not really worrying too much about the corners and where the shadows are going to be. Just take your time doing it. This is like the fun part. It can go really, really quickly, and you can be as precise as you want or as rough as you want. You can even sort of dry brush this on if you really wanted to. You'll get really the sort of same effect, but what you want to do is sort of build up these layers over the progressive stages to create this highlight and the shadows and everything else. If you want to see a sort of more high-end version of this, you can check out my Instagram. There's a link below, and there's a post of an old Techless model I did before, and I've used the same technique on the base of Techless there as well. If you do this right, you can build up quite a lot of texture on the chair, which is kind of cool, and it can kind of make it look like some really cool rough stone as well. So now mixing in some Cyberite green. This is the next stage up from the Carbolite. Games Workshop have some very strange names for their colours, but it's basically the layer paint that's slightly brighter than the Carbolite. Mixing this in, it's about a 50-50 mix at this stage, and again, just going back around everywhere we've been and making sure that this stage of stippling is basically inside the previous stage of stipples. Using the same principles as before, as well as edge highlighting and things like that, you just want to create that nice transition with all of the stippled colours. We're going to be applying a couple of washes later on that'll tie all of this together, and then a final dry brush which will just unify all of the colours and make it look like a really cool stone effect. So when I paint, I generally just listen to an audiobook. And I got through quite a few hours of my audiobook in this one, and I was just able to chill out, listen to the book while painting away, and it was really quite relaxing to do so. I think all in all, painting the chair was about 10 hours work in total. So adding some more Cyberite green into your mix. Again, now we're just going to be focusing more on the higher points and just carefully stippling all of these. And you can see the difference in the color. This stage of highlighting is actually quite bright, but that's okay because that's what you want. It'll give that effect. Once everything dries, the paint will darken down naturally, as acrylic paint does darken as it dries, and it'll just all blend in quite nicely to these sort of a nice transition of color. It won't be a smooth blend. You can do that if you really wanted to, but it kind of defeats the point of this whole sort of stonier type effect. Just continue working your way around, just making sure that you focus on always the highest points. As you can see, I've not gone anywhere near the underside of the chair because you don't really need to. You've got the base coat there, and that's all you need for that part of the model, because to be honest, you're not really going to see it. I have sped this footage up to about 150%, so it can just get through and I can keep as much of it in without actually having the video to be really, really long, because that would be quite boring, and you don't want a long video because, you know, most people only watch about 5 minutes of a video anyway. And now we're going to go in for a bit of a wash. So what this is basically going to be soft shading. We've got some Ink by Darkness thinned right down to a wash consistency, and what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be washing over the deepest recesses, so the sort of like lines and channels in the back, and getting it right into the corners, and that will sort of just start bringing in those shadows and really sort of bringing out the highlights, because we're starting to build up that contrast on the stone. You can push this even further by adding some like brown glazes in as well to add really up the contrast, but in this video I've not done that because there was already quite a bit of brown already around it, and I didn't really want to sort of pull the colors too far. I do think my video editing is getting a lot better. The more and more I do it, the more comfortable I feel with it, and the more I'm learning about the software that I'm using. So if you have any feedback on the edit and the actual quality of the videos, please let me know and drop a comment below. I'm always open to feedback. It'd be really cool to hear some. So now what I've done is I've added some black into the Ink by Darkness. It's about a 50-50 mix, and now what I'm doing is I'm going to be a little bit more precise with this. I'm going to be putting this into the deepest recesses and essentially line shading the parts of the model. This will kind of really make certain parts pop out because you've got that like sort of black line around details on the chair and the stone. Take your time on this, and if you do make a mistake, just rinse your brush off and then go back and wash over it with wipe over it with a damp brush, and just take off the excess if you have to. You can kind of sort of feather and blend it into where the shadows are, and it'll just look part of the transitions, and it'll be all good. So now what I'm going to be doing is doing a dry brush with pure Cybernite green, and as you can see, I'm pulling the brush down from the top to the bottom and making sure that I'm catching the uppermost edges of this. And this is just the sort of the first layer of edge highlights if you want. This is a lot quicker to do than to actually try to edge highlight everything, so if you do want to edge highlight it, you certainly can. You're going to be there for quite a while, so a quick dry brush is perfectly fine. You may notice that I've also caught some of the vines quite a few times. Don't worry about this. I'm going to go back and tidy up all the vines when I go to do them anyway. So if you do hit any of the other areas that are not the stone, you can just go back, tidy it all up, and then just crack on from there. So just don't worry about being messy or untidy at this stage. Just work around all of the areas, making sure that you pick out the uppermost points, and you'll be all good. And just take your time doing it. You can see the edge highlights forming. Obviously, the more that you dry brush over an area, the more opaque that highlight will become. So you can go over it as many times as you feel that you need to until you've picked out all of the detail to the level that you want. And remember that there is another stage of dry brushing after this. So now for the final dry brush, and this is Karnak stone. What I'm going to be doing is just going to be dry brushing over everything and all of the upper higher surfaces, just to really sort of push those highlights a little bit brighter and give it kind of like a stony type look by the time I'm finished. You see here doing all around the sides and on the top, and you can see how it's sort of really sort of popping now, and it looks really, really cool. The Karnak stone really sort of contrasts really nicely with the greens in the sort of jade colours, and it really does sort of make the chair pop. There's a little bit at the back. You can see where I'm just literally just dry brushing straight over it. So now it's time to highlight the moss. So what I've done is, after it's all been washed and everything, I've gone back in with some Elysian green and kind of just stippling this over the moss sections. You want to leave some of the base coat underneath this to sort of just allow the highlight and the base colour to work together. Now I'm using Moot Green, and I really wanted a sort of vibrant green colour in the moss to really sort of stand out from the jade colour of the stone. I think it really worked, and it looks kind of cool. And finally, to do a final highlight, using Ogren camo, and this is just to sort of just posh out the highlights even more, making sure that you stick on the corners and the most uppermost parts of it, and it'll just make the moss areas really pop, and it kind of looks really cool. It also is a contrast away from the green foliage as well that we'll be doing after this. If there's any videos that you would like me to do, drop a comment below. I am planning to start doing a series of tutorials on Stormcast Eternal Storm Hosts, starting with the Hammers of Sigmar, and that should be coming later this month. And for this final highlight, what I did is I added a little bit of white into the Ogren camo, and just started to just pick out the more prominent points, just to sort of give a really brighter highlights, more extreme highlights on the moss areas. As 10th edition is also launching, I'm planning to do a little bit of 40k content. There's going to be a little bit more World Eater tutorials, and I'm looking to try to get hold of some I will be getting hold of some Space Marine intercessors, and I'm going to be doing a couple of tutorials for first founding chapters. So if there's any Space Marine chapters that you want to see, then feel free. I would like to do some Eldar as well, and maybe some Tyranids, but that really depends if I can get my hands on the box. But if there is anything that you would like to see me paint, then feel free to drop it below in the comments, and we'll see if we can make that happen. I also want to be doing a couple of non-metallics, gold, silver and bronze, or / copper non-metallic. They will be definitely coming in the very near future. Okay, so for the green foliage, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing a series of edge highlights with Elysian green and Oghren camo. And this is kind of just to sort of get the lines on the leaves, leaving the sort of warpstone glow underneath it. I've opted to go for these colours because I feel like it looks a little bit more natural. Now you could go down the route of moot green and then adding a little bit of white or yellow into the moot green and pushing it that way, but I feel that would look a little bit more cartoony rather than a little bit more realistic. So that's why I've gone for the Elysian green and Oghren camo, because I think that would kind of make it look a little bit more natural in tone. And it kind of works, but if you don't like that tone, you could perfectly come back into it with moot green and some whites and yellows and stuff. So this is me coming in now with the Oghren camo. You could even push this even brighter by using something like a bit of like Krieg khaki, which is quite a sort of really bright browny green. It looks really good. I'm always trying to find some recipes to actually use it more because I quite like the colour. Here I've just used some Oghren camo. Just make sure you go around all of the foliage as well as all the little leaves on the vines as well. And once that's done, we're just going to start picking out some gold and all of the gold areas. I'm going to be mainly on this part of the video, I'm mainly going to be focusing on the gold banding on the front of this sort of strange sort of rock feature on the front of the chair, which I'm going to be doing a quite cool glow on it very shortly. But yeah, there is a little bit of gold, so just make sure that you go around and pick out all of the gold areas using retribution armor. Takes about 1 or 2 coats. It's not too bad. There's some good coverage. I'm going to look at maybe trying some scale 75 metallics because I've heard some really good things about them. So once everything is base coated and washed with the gold, what I'm doing is I'm just mixing in some silver, and I'm using some Vallejo silver from their airbrush range. I really love this silver. It's probably one of the best silvers on the markets, and I'll fight anybody for that. It is a really good silver. It has great coverage, and when you mix it into the GW Retribution armor, you really get a really good opaque paint that just covers really well. And here you can see me just picking out all of the raised areas for the highlights. Since getting Vallejo silver, I've just stopped using any of the brighter golds from Games Workshop because I don't need it. I just mix this into Retribution armor and I get the gold that I really need. So once you've done all the gold, we're going to start base coating this cool thing. And like I said, I want this to sort of be like a glowy effect. So I've got some Thousand Suns blue, and I've mixed in a little bit of Nagoth Nightshade just to give it a little bit of a hint of a purple in the base coat. And I'm just going to be going all the way through, I'm just going to be going all the way around this and like base coating it all in and blocking it in. Now I'm going to speed this up now because it does take a while to do. Just to be careful not to hit the gold. If you do, just go back and tidy up the gold afterwards. It's just a happy little mistake, so nothing to really worry about. I think this taken me a good 2 layers to get a full opaque base coat by the time I was finished. Now you could opt to go for more of a red colour, that would really work. There's a lot of greens here and a lot of sort of darky brown colours as well. So yeah, you could definitely sort of go for like a red glow effect here, but I always like associating my magic with sort of like a blue teal, because I think that looks more magic and fantasy than red. Plus the Slann's a good guy, you know, so blue's good, red's bad. Okay, so I'm going to start highlighting this up, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using some very thin Thousand Suns blue, and I'm going to be sort of like glazing and stippling this in and pulling the colours to the centre of the area, especially this sort of circle in the centre. So I'm pulling it in, and where it on the outer ring, I'm pulling it into the innermost edge. And that's for both edges, because there's like an inner ring, there's the circle, and then there's an inner ring, and then there's sort of like a band on the outside. And as I'm sort of building up the colour, I'm also adding a little bit of white every now and again to sort of brighten up the highlight, and then just continually working that into the centre, making sure that I keep the previous layers on the outside and the outermost areas of this surface. And you'll slowly, as you build up these layers and the brightness of these layers, you'll start to create a nice transition, and you'll kind of get like a cool glow effect will start forming as you push up the highlights to almost pure white in the middle. This can take a lot of time, so don't worry too much if you don't get it straight away. You can just go back with some previous layers and just stipple that in and just glaze over the top, and it'll slowly come together. Just take your time and have a lot of fun with it. I love stippling and sort of doing this sort of highlights, because it can be so relaxing while you're doing it. So here I am again, just adding more and more white into this, and just coming back in and just building up those layers, just constantly stippling and pulling the colour into the centre. And you'll see it more when I get to the middle, how I sort of like pull that in and stipple. I do find it hard trying to explain what I'm doing in the voiceovers when it comes to this, because there's only so much I can say without going into stupid arty terms, and trying to keep it as simple as possible for everyone to understand. But as you can see, it's just about building up the layers, and you'll see yourself as you do it how the transition will form, and you can really push it by doing glazes and stuff, but I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible. It's a really interesting focal point on the model, and I think for the box art, Games Workshop have opted for like a purple violet colour, which really works. But I think for me, the blue just looks so good next to the jade sort of teal type colour of the green. That is my hair every now and again coming into it. I am going to be adjusting and changing my setup on my desk around to move the camera into a better position. I'm just still trying to work out the best place for that. So now I'm like pushing up really high with the white. I'd probably say it's about 60-40 now, white to Thousand Suns blue. If you're not too happy with using mixes and stuff, Games Workshop do really good selection of paints that are layered and set together. So there's like Thousand Suns blue, and then you could possibly use something like Lithorian blue or Temple Guard blue, and then maybe like Batharoth and Blue Horror. These are like really bright blues and they're already pre-mixed, so you could just use them. But if you're happy enough to use and confident enough to mix colors, then you just need your Thousand Suns and white, and just slowly but surely just add in little bits of white at a time. Remember, make sure it is a little bit, because white can really push the color quite high, and really sort of get it a little bit more brighter than you initially wanted. And if that is happening, just put in a little bit more Thousand Suns blue to bring that color back down, and then just stipple over the area that you need to sort of smooth out. You can really go backwards and forwards with this and to get the desired result that you want. It's a really quite forgiving technique to do. So definitely try it. Just take your time. You'll have a lot of fun doing it. So here you can sort of see me off screen just moving around and mixing. I think I'm pretty much almost got a pure white at this stage. It looks like a really sort of pale white blue, and I'm mainly focusing this right onto the center, and it'll really sort of makes that sort of blue glowy effect pop even more, because you've got the darker tones. Now you could get a very thin black wash and do a black line all the way around and in the sort of the recesses to really sort of add those shadows, but you just be a little bit careful if you do, because obviously you could make a mess of what you're doing. And there's just putting a little bit of an edge highlight in as well. But I do hope everyone has enjoyed this. I've had a lot of fun making it. And a big shout out to everybody who has subscribed. But if you haven't yet subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. Costs you absolutely nothing, and it means the world to me and helps the channel out so much, because every subscription, every subscriber and the likes and comments and everything else like that, it really helps the algorithm know that people are actually interacting with your videos, and it helps them spread across YouTube really well, and you get seen a lot more, which obviously helps the channel as well. You should do this to all your favorite YouTubers, not just me. But that's just getting near to the end, and I hope everyone has enjoyed it. So I'm just going to sign off now and let you see the end results. Thanks very much. And that is the video, everybody. I hope you liked it. I have had a lot of fun making this video. It has been super fun, and a lot of hours have been put into it to get it done, hence the reason why this video has been late. Should have been here Friday last week, and it's now here today. So sorry about that. So thank you to everybody who has supported the channel so far. We're getting very close to the 2,000 mark. There's still about 70% of my viewers who have not hit that subscribe button. It would be really good if you could hit that subscribe button. Also hit that little bell so you don't miss out on any future content, and obviously like the video and drop a comment as well. All helps with the algorithm. So thank you to everybody, and big shout out to my patrons. Ray, you absolute legend. Couldn't do a lot of what I do without your support over on Patreon, so thanks very much. Right, that is the video, and I will catch you in the next one. See you later, peeps. Goodbye.